with Ochido Ayi, and I'm your host, Ochido Ayi. So, if you've ever joined me for any of this, you would hear me say that the book of Kings has been one of the most eye opening books in the entire time that I've been doing this Bible in 1 year, because it suddenly put a lot of things into perspectives. The people who love God, how they behaved, the long term consequences of their actions, God's reaction when God speaks, how long it takes for the things to happen, and when God is happy, how quickly it shows up. So much to learn from this. I have enjoyed it. Today I'm going to tell you some crazy stories of God's anger and how it panned out. Okay? And also of God's goodness and how it panned out. All right, so if you're joining me for the first time, this is a podcast that is doing the Bible in 1 year. I chose to do this with an audience because I wanted to be held accountable. I wanted to share my thoughts, share my interpretations, tell stories. I love to tell stories, test the theories, and put discard what is not needed as well. But the idea is that I, an ordinary person with faith, is interpreting the Bible, reading it for herself, telling you that you too can do so for yourself. A lot of third hand information is passed down, and a lot of people see the things of God through the eyes of whoever their spiritual leaders are. And if you ask them why, they have no idea why. Everything is, I was told, this is why I believe. Why do you believe? So that's the essence of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then I wanted for anyone out there who needs to follow through with the Bible reading and is lazy or curious or without the resources, if you follow my channel from January to December, you'll cover everything. Every day is captured. And at the end of December 31st, you will be done with knowing a little bit about everything in the Bible. I tell the stories and I demonstrate putting Nigerian flavor in the manner in which I demonstrate it. Okay? But I think you will get the gist. Okay? The scriptures that I read for the day, I always shared in the distribution box below. So if you want to follow, just go to the distribution box, go read your own, and come and leave your comments as well. So let's get started. Okay, so today is day 184. And so we are introduced to Josiah, the king who became king at 8 years old. Josiah he had the leadership of a priest. I think the priest name was, I wrote it down here somewhere. I wrote it down somewhere. He became 8 years old. Josiah became 80. So I document my thoughts in a book. And sometimes when they are full of details, I need to go back and check. So the king became king 8 years ago and remained king for 31 years. He was given a lot of counsel by a priest, an elderly priest. But I can't find where I wrote the priest's name. Anyway, so one day when he was 26 years old, hi Audrey, hi Steve, I'm very well, thank you. I trust you're doing great as well. All right, so welcome to the Bible in 1 year, and say something about the stories I'm about to share. Okay, so today our scriptures, we follow a structured Bible guide using this Bible study guide, and then every day we look at an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. Yesterday we finished the book of Psalms. Thank you very much. Yesterday we finished the book of, thank you Steve. Yesterday we finished the book of Psalms, and so I will not be going back over Psalms. In the structured guide, we actually go back and start the book of Psalms again so that we have a psalm every day. But just so that this does not take too long, I have rounded up with the book of Psalms yesterday, Psalm 150, and so I will not be replacing it. We'll just continue with the book of Proverbs, the Old Testament, and the New Testament. So in the Old Testament, the story starts today. We were introduced to King Josiah yesterday, the child king who became king at 8 years old. When he was 26 years old, he sent the kingdom secretary. I don't know what name to call him now, but I just put here the secretary to the temple to go and give someone called Hilda, the high priest, some money to repair the worn out temple. He said, look, find the people we are owing money, the workers, the skilled and craftsmen who worked on the temple, find them, and then please and pay them what we're owing them, and then recruit them to continue work on the temple. Let's rebuild the temple. Is really run down. Hosea, something in his heart just feared God, right? While they were doing that, Hilda, I think Hilda was a priest. Hilda found a book, a scroll, and in the scroll was written stuff about God. Now they knew that they had something to do with God, the way many of us know that we came from Christian homes, for instance, but we don't care. We are caught up with the way the world is today. We follow the vibe of the moment, the trending religions and stuff like that, and we forget the things of God. So this book, like maybe you have a Bible that your grandfather gave you and it's somewhere in the study back where you can't find it. That was how they stumbled on that scroll, and they brought the scroll and they began to read it. This is a serious matter. So they take it to the king. The king reads it. What? We haven't been doing any of this thing. I don't remember my parents doing it. I don't remember we doing it. Oh my goodness. So they say, who can really interpret this thing for us? And so they say, there's one prophetess called Huldah. Let's go meet her. So they go and meet her. She says, she's praying, and then she says, this is what God says. The things written in that book will come to pass. But I can see your reaction. Josiah, you seem really, really, upset. And Josiah is like, I'm upset, and he tears his outfit and he's like, oh my God, I'm mourning. And he goes to the temple and he's crying, God, forgive us. Oh my goodness, we didn't know. And so she says, God has seen your heart, and he sees how sincere your heart is. So let me just tell you what's up. The things are going to pan out, but not. So I put a lot of Nigerian flavor, really. So just hang in there. The things are going to pan out, but not in your lifetime. Josiah is like, what can we do? And then she says, just do what God has laid on your heart, okay? He quickly gets to work. He gets the book. He gathers all the elders. He says, everybody line up in the temple, all the leaders. Read everything to them, because I don't think any of these people know what was in the book. So everybody is reading it. All the people are like, oh my goodness. And so a whole general revival starts. The king swings into action, leading the worship. He goes to the temple. He says, look, they said we should be doing this in the temple. We should be praying. We should be doing it. We have to start. And so you elders are going to come. The king starts it. The elders follow. And a lot of things. So these were the things that the king did, right? These were the things that. So stay tuned, because the next day, and I'm going to do the next day immediately after. You see what happened. So the king swings into actions, and he says that the words that were spoken in that book are going to happen, but let's see whether we can do something, right? So he quickly reenacts the covenant between them and God, pledging to obey everything that was written in the book. Hilkiah, the high priest, and all the other junior priests were now instructed to get rid of every Baal article. Now Baal, hello success, hi. Now Baal is the prevailing idol that was worshipped at the time by the Israelites. And right in the temple of God, Manasseh, the king from the day before yesterday, built idols right inside the temple of God. So he said, get rid of all things Baal from the temple, burn everything up, remove all the pagan priests, summon the pagan priests of the sun, the moon, the worshippers, those who take care of Asheroth, those who take care of the poles, even the poles themselves, everything, Ashtaroth, everything. Get rid of everything. Now, back in the day, they used to have houses for temple prostitutes, male and female. So something about worship was tied around sex as well, especially when it comes to the worship of Baal, Ashtaroth, and all of those things. Sex was a major part of their worship. The king ordered that the quarters be broken down and all the temple prostitutes be sent away. He asked for all the priests who should have known this. Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you. She looks like all the priests. It looks like He got all the priests who should have known that this is what we are supposed to be doing, and yet you guys are funding and fueling the worship of Baal. So I'm going to summon you all to Jerusalem, and I'm going to ban you from worshiping Baal henceforth. We're going to be worshiping the true and living God, Yahweh. We're going to be doing that. So, but you guys, since you were worshiping pagan gods, you are not going to serve in the temple anymore, but you'll be allowed to eat with the priests and possibly live with them as well. Then he destroys the altars where human sacrifices were done. So part of the rituals of this worship of Baal was when you had a desire for something strong, you were allowed to pick one of your favorite children and sacrifice. They called it walking through the fire. The children will be brought and the children will walk through the fire and they will be sacrificed. He stopped it. He destroyed the altars. They were called Topheth. He destroyed the altars of Topheth at Ben Hinnom and removed all the horses, items dedicated to the sun, the moon, all the altars, everything, all the way back. So way back as far back as Solomon's time. Some altar, Solomon, even though he was very wise, towards the end of his life, he missed it, right? He began to build altars. As far back as Solomon's time, the altars that were built back then, he destroyed everything and cleared everything and brought sanity back to Israel at the time. So, idols of Ashtoreth, Chemosh, and Sidonians were scattered. And then in order to desecrate their altars so that the people will no longer go back to worship, he asked them to exhume tombs of dead people's bones. And those bones were crushed and then they were poured on all those altars to desecrate, to defile the altars so that those altars are no longer attractive for worship. He was exhuming all the tombs that were on the hillside. He saw one particular tomb. Whose tomb is that? They were like, oh, this is the tomb of the prophet who prophesied what you are currently doing. This thing you are doing, King Josiah, was prophesied years ago. That's the prophet who prophesied it. So he was like, let that prophet's tomb be. Don't touch the prophet's tomb. And then he now said the forms of worship, we have to reenact them. We have to resume. So Passover, something they hadn't celebrated in many, many, many years. They celebrated Passover that year, just as required by the books. So you see, his turnaround was so complete. He never looked back. He didn't say, let me see what Baal is saying. Let me send someone to ask why this is happening. He completely turned around and focused on God. Completely. No turning back. There's a popular song, I have decided to follow Jesus. No, I will never turn back. Oh, no. It's like a TikTok challenge right now. He lived that life, complete turnaround, and he did everything. He pleased God. God was pleased with his action. Never, it was written in the Bible that never before had Israel seen a king who completely turned back to the Lord the way Josiah did, and never after him did any other king emerge like that. Anyway, even though Josiah pleased God, just like the prophet Huda had told him, God wasn't particularly satisfied because the sins of Manasseh, they were worse than the sins of Ahab, an older king. By the time you combine Manasseh and Ahab, God felt no. The thing was full, and God wasn't completely pacified, and so he said he had rejected Jerusalem, and the temple of Israel would remain, and Israel would remain. But remember, Israel had already been carted away to Babylon. They brought people from Babylon to live in Samaria. Well, he was going to sack Judah as well. And Israel would remain banished. So maybe because of his anger, Josiah did not remain king for very long. And at 39, Josiah went to war with the king of Egypt for something, and the king of Egypt won the war and killed Josiah. He fought and lost at a place called Megiddo, and Josiah was killed. His son would become king. So that ends our Old Testament today. We're looking at, so that was 2 Kings chapters 22 verses 4 to chapters 23 verses 30. Thank you for the hearts. I'm so grateful. Thank you. All right. So now in the New Testament, we're looking at Acts chapters 21 to 22 verses 16. So Paul, there was an uproar. Remember, Paul had just come back to Jerusalem, had just performed the sacrifice, like the purification ritual. You know, the disciples in Jerusalem advised him, just do this because people are accusing you of saying that we should neglect the way of the Jews, and you are Jewish. So perform the rites, perform the purification rites. So Paul was in the middle of performing the purification rites when somebody recognized him as one of the people who is now bringing Gentiles into the things of God, and they dragged him out. The uproar was so much that the garrison had to be notified, and the commander sent for Paul to be brought in. So Paul was being led away after the uproar, and then Paul asked to speak. He said, "Please, okay, so please, now that I have your attention, please, can I say something?" They're like, "Do you speak Greek?" He's like, I'm not Greek. I'm Hebrew, because he was, so Paul is quite cosmopolitan, right? He's very well traveled, and he's lived in Europe for a very long time. So there was something about him that made the commanders not even know he was Jewish. So he says, "Give me it." And they were like, "I recognize you. Aren't you that Egyptian who led 4,000 assassins on a revolution?" He's like, "No, no, no, it's not me. I'm Jewish. I'm a guy called Saul from Tarsus. I come from Sicilia. Can I say something?" So he's like, "Okay, I'll let you say. So speak." So Paul begins to speak. And Paul starts to speak in Hebrew. So when the crowd hear him, they realize that he's Hebrew. Oh, this guy that looks European is actually Hebrew. He speaks Hebrew. Okay, let's listen to what he's going to say. So Paul is like, guys, hear me out. Hear me out. I'm Jew, born and bred here. I studied under Gamaliel. I guess it's a thing of pride to say I studied, this is my alma mater. So instead, I studied under Gamaliel I was just as zealous as you are today. All of this zealousness you are showing, and you're angry with me, please let me tell you what just happened to me. I'm sure you guys will understand. You see, I'm Paul. I'm Saul. I used to work with Gamaliel, and I was very zealous about the things of God. You see, these Christians, I pursued them. I dealt with them. I had them arrested. I brought them to Jerusalem for persecution. I was really zealous. Some of you know me. Some of you remember me. It's not so long ago. You understand? But one day, I was going to Damascus. And then I heard there was this bright light. I felt blinded by the light. And then I heard a voice. And the voice said, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And I was like, "Who are you?" And the voice said, "I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you're persecuting. Now go on to Damascus and wait there. You'll be told what to do." And so when the voice passed, I could hear everybody commenting on the sound. "Oh, did you hear that loud? Sorry, on the light. Did you see that bright light? Did you see that bright light? Did you see? You saw it too. You saw it too. You saw it too." But I couldn't see anything. I was blinded. And I was asking them, "Did you guys hear that voice?" They were like, "No, we didn't hear any voice." He's like, so they had to lead him by hand all the way to Damascus. They had to lead him by hand. And he stayed in Damascus until a guy called Ananias came to meet him. The guy called Ananias, he's a very devout Jew. So he said, he came and he prayed for me, and my eyesight was restored. And so he said, "Wow, aren't you lucky? God has chosen you to see him, to hear him, and to speak for him. The gods of your fathers. So you will be a witness for God, and say what you hear him say, and you will speak to all men. So now go and be baptized." Oh yeah, quickly, go and be baptized, wash away your sins, and call on the love of God, on the Lord to give you the next steps to go. So that ends our New Testament reading for today. So a lot happens. See, you guys, please stay tuned, because I read the day's own. So I'm going to be recording that episode immediately. Join me and hear what happened, please. It's awesome. It's very funny. All right, so we're going to just look at Proverbs 18:11 to 12. Proverbs 18:11 to 12, and that would end our series for today. "The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own esteem. Before destruction of a heart, a man is haughty." So before a heart is destroyed, pride sets in. Before a destruction of a heart, a man is haughty. And that ends our Bible reading for today. The scriptures will be left in the comment below. Please subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notification button to know when I go live next. and say something in the comments about the stories that I've shared. The scriptures will be in the description box. Go read it for yourself and let's banter on what you see there. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining me today. Steve and Audrey and everyone else who was here. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.